One of the things most important for the longevity of any nation is a sound educational system. Now that can be an organized educational system that you have through the government, or it can be other things. As a matter of fact, Dr. Benjamin Rush, a founding father, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, a man that's a leading educator in American history. As a matter of fact, he's called the father of public schools under the Constitution. Benjamin Rush said the two most important people in America were schoolmasters and mothers.
Wow.
Because they taught the next generation.
Wow.
So those were the two that he thought were most important for the security of a nation. So the Founding Fathers put a huge emphasis on education, but also on the philosophy of education. Now, they had a really good view of what it was going to take for America to last. They knew that they had certain ideas that were pretty revolutionary, and they believed that if they did not get those ideas passed on to the next generation, that everything they'd fought for would die when they died. When they went to the grave, that's the end of America. So they put a lot of time into educational systems, and you'll find that our Founding Fathers, the guys who did our documents, in 10 years, they started more universities in America than had been started in 150 years before the Revolution. So from the time of the Revolution over the next 10 years, they're starting universities like crazy because they want our kids knowing the principles that made America unique. So the first time they get an opportunity to pass the very first federal law on education was in 1789. And they'd passed a law on education that dealt with it back before they had the Constitution. And they thought it was a good law, but because they wanted to make sure it was a constitutional law, they took the same law from 1787 and they repassed it in 1789. George Washington signed this education bill into law on August the 7th, 1789. So the Founding Fathers says, here's what we expect of anyone who's going to be part of this nation, and they set the standards. Part of the standards in this bill was what we want out of your education system. This is what they said, that if you want an education system to be part of this American United States, the three things you had to teach in education were religion, morality, and knowledge. Religion was first. It says Scripture teaches very clearly that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Now, in our little bitty Christian world, we kind of say, well, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of good, sound spiritual knowledge. No, fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, period.